So I just wanted to expand a little bit more on my background. I work in the media and entertainment vertical at Fastly, and we are an edge cloud provider that accelerates websites. And I talked a little bit as well about women in streaming media, and I just, since I went over that earlier, I really wanted to just lend the floor to Mike to give a little bit of his background, and then we can hop into the fireside chat.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me. So I'm Mike Keyserling. I'm the COO of Philo, and that basically encompasses all of the business functions in the company and revenue and content acquisition and BD and things like that. I've actually been with, you'll hear a little bit more about the Philo story in a few minutes, but I've actually been with the company 5 years. People don't realize that Philo's actually been around quite a bit of time now, but I'll go into that in a minute. Personally, I've spent pretty much my entire career on the content delivery where content meets technology. I started off at a startup where we delivered all the back-end systems for video on demand, like 20 years ago. And then from the vendor side, I went to work for HBO, and I was there for about 8 years. It was kind of a crazy time to be there, from like launching all of our channels in HD to launching HBO Go. It was just talk about a transformative time at a company. And so, and while I was there, I got an opportunity to do some due diligence on Philo. And so once I decided to leave HBO, I decided to check out Philo as a consultant, and then I've been on full time.
Awesome. So just a little bit of background on Philo. Philo actually began as really a project in a Harvard dormitory. They were delivering video services to college campuses, and since that time, they've actually launched a direct-to-consumer service at the beginning of 2018. So they've been on the market for about 18 months now and have seen pretty explosive growth. They have a couple of packages from $16 to $20, 40 to high 50 plus amount of channels depending on the package that you choose. And the growth has really just been exponential. I think it probably about 800% plus year over year growth up until this point. And the service is really superb. And we just want to dive a little bit into sort of how the company approaches bringing a multi-channel service to market and just some of the things that have helped them succeed. So, Mike, you've been around for 18 months now. Talk to us a little bit about how you got into, about the direct-to-consumer product and how you sort of made your entry into the OTT space.
Yeah, so Philo's actually been around for about 8 years now. I started off as a college product, and really the idea was kind of simple. It was a couple college grads were like, everybody loves TV. It's the most talked about form of content consumption, but everybody categorically hates their TV provider, and thought there was a pretty big opportunity to build a better TV product. And that, at even 8 years ago, that was before Sling, that was before any vMVPDs really existed. I mean, Netflix was probably a baby back then. So what the company ended up doing, and if they had gone to like Viacom and said, license me MTV, I don't have any money and I don't have a platform, that conversation would have gone and ended pretty quickly. And so what the company did was found like a really interesting niche in colleges and built basically an OTT service on college campuses. And we've had a ton of success in that market. We're at about 100 schools that use Philo as the OTT platform on college campuses. A lot of people don't realize that. We probably have had more experience with like cloud DVR than like probably any of the companies in the space. So company's been around for a while, but the ambition was always larger. It was always wanting to build a product that we could launch commercially as a consumer product. And so we did that about 18 months ago. And basically what we ended up doing is bringing together, I consider like cable favorites. It's all really focused on entertainment, lifestyle, and knowledge content. So you have 58 channels that's offered for $20. But the goal wasn't to be the cheapest product on the market. It was to really offer a better product experience. So we have live TV. It's a live TV service plus deep on-demand libraries, unlimited DVR, and things like that.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too that Philo was really born sort of out of desperate times. I think the providers that they're currently serving, your Viacom, the Discovery channels, they were really fraught with finding themselves sort of an outcast in the streaming platforms, mostly because they did not offer any sports, which is a key tenet of Philo's offering. So talk to us a little bit about that aspect of the platform, and then a little bit around the cost and sort of what you get.
Yeah, no problem.
Service.
I talked about the number of channels, but I didn't talk about the content mix, so thank you. So yeah, it's 58 channels of content. It's all, like I mentioned, it's cable favorites. It's basically the portfolios from the A&E networks, like A&E History, AMC, the Discovery channels, including the former Scripps, like Food Network, HGTV, and Viacom, which is, Comedy Central, VH1, MTV, and Nickelodeon. So what we saw when we were out starting the content license game is that there were a lot of people that were going after sort of the exact same market. And this still pretty much exists today, where most of the VMVPDs are all like broadcast and sports, and sports plays such a huge cost inside the cable bundle. People might not realize. And so, we said, well, look, what if we took a different approach? What if we said, hey, there's a lot of people doing that. Like, there's plenty of options in that space, but there's never really been an offering that really brings together the cable favorites, and we can do it at a much lower price point. So yeah, it's $20. We actually only have one package of content. That actually happened was today. So, but yeah, we have one package of content that's $20 a month.
Yeah, and if you're into reality TV fare, or you really like dramas, I think Philo could really be the only service for you. There is really a plethora right now of services, OTT services, and trying to figure out sort of which one of those work for you is a little bit of a task. And I think, Philo pairs really well with some of the sports. You could definitely pair it with one of the sports platforms, but it's definitely affordable. So talk to us a little bit about the demographics that you serve, and maybe about some of the popular content.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, and to the point you just made about, that is the one really nice thing about being a low-cost service, is that you can easily, and we see that we do a lot of surveying of our customers, and you could see us being paired with, like a Hulu Live or a YouTube TV or one of the other platforms that is like more focused on that market, and we provide quite a complement. There's not a ton of content overlap. So, but you are asking me about the demographics and what we've learned. Thank you. So it's interesting. I think our demographics generally follow the demographics of the U.S. I think with a couple of exceptions. We are skewing really young, multicultural female. I think that's probably just because Viacom and what VH1 has been doing in that market has been going really well. It also makes sense. I think it's been generally an underserved market. You might be willing to pay sort of $20 to be able to get all your the content you're getting on VH1 or OWN or BET, but you might not be willing to pay $150 for a full cable bundle. So we are really the first time that we've seen that this type of price point being offered with this content. So yeah, and then we're also seeing another cohort that's like really, that it's, parents, like younger parents, and it's like the Nickelodeon channels do unbelievably well. And so, yeah, but other than that, what I love about the content that we have on our service is that we have a really wide portfolio, and we have something that would meet the needs of everyone, unless you're that sports fan, but then there's like a ton of options for you elsewhere. So we have a ton of variety with the portfolios of like a Discovery and Viacom. Talk
to us a little bit about some of the perks. Like, I know, how many streams you get, sort of what, the DVR capability, and sort of your approach on not nickeling and diming your customers.
That's a great point. I mean, we really wanted to do something different. So, we didn't want to follow the cable model. So you're paying us once, you're going to get the fully featured product. We're not embargoing features. You get, like, as I mentioned, you get the live stream. We get about 72-hour look back on most of the content. We have as deep of on-demand libraries as the big cable companies, and you have an unlimited DVR for 30 days. And then you also have, it's also a multi-stream product. So you also get 3 streams with that.
Awesome. So you've been launched for a year and a half. what are you doing to sort of nurture customer relationships, to build deeper relationships with your customers and keep them? So Andrew gave a really funny scenario. He was talking about The Walking Dead and some of the things that you do to sort of resurrect your customers and make sure that they're doing other things on the platform.
Yeah, I mean, we spend a considerable amount of time, as you could probably imagine, looking at data around the funnel and onboarding subscribers, as well as retention and things to combat churn. So we are pretty much really laser focused on that on a daily basis. I would say the first year when we launched just with Roku, and I think it was critically important. It became very obvious that we had to get on all of the connected TV platforms. We learned that like 90% of our viewing was on the connected TV platforms. We knew it would skew connected TV, but we didn't realize just how much it would. And so being on the table stakes platforms were just so critical: Fire TV, Apple TV, Android TV. So we did that. And I say that because the first year it was all about just kind of getting to table stakes functionality. And then this year we're going to be focusing a lot more on, sort of more cutting edge functionality and offering.
So we talked today a little bit about data and just sort of how critical that is to the whole ecosystem of video. Philo has a pretty unique approach around data. Talk to us a little bit about that, as well as what you do to monetize your platform aside from the subscription service.
Yeah, so I'll take the second question first, and then you'll probably have to remind me what the first question was. Are we boring?
You guys are handling this beautifully. And I feel like such a spare part. I'm going to just sidle off backwards with it. I'm going to do something useful and watch from a distance.
So the Philo is a dual revenue stream product. So it's a subscription revenue, and then there's also an ad component to it. Because we built the whole system from the ground up, we don't have painful legacy set-top box hardware to contend with. So everything that we do it digitally. We use DAI, or digital ad insertion, and we sell all of our avails programmatically. So pretty cutting edge, actually, in terms of how we're monetizing our advertising avails. And then the other question was about just our principles on data. So we have a very different perspective, I think, than most, maybe because of our roots being in Silicon Valley, which is, a lot of time there's a sort of a pitched battle between distributors and programmers around data, what data you'll provide, what you won't. And we kind of have an opposite attitude. We're like customer first. And so we are constantly looking at data about how customers are using our platform. We think that same data should go back up to the programmers so they can understand what customers are liking and how they're interacting with the content, and so they can create better programming, which will result in a better customer experience and kind of a win all the way around. So we're much more of a partner on the data side with our programmers than otherwise.
Talk about the advertising. I know Philo is definitely an ad-supported platform, but talk about how you work with your advertisers and some of the things that you do to drive consumption and drive conversion.
Yes, are you on the marketing side or
Yes.
on the marketing side?
Yes.
Yeah, so probably one of the things that I'm most proud of is the acquisition engine that we've built. We have been able to grow very significantly in a very responsible fashion. I think you've seen a lot of, we're playing in a space with some pretty big players, and that are willing to just spend and spend and spend to acquire subs, and whether it's a YouTube or a Hulu, and it's all kind of been well documented in terms of the cash burn of these companies. But we've taken a very different approach. I mean, we are growing at an incredible rate, and we're doing it with a very responsible acquisition cost. We spend, now to get into your question more directly, most of our marketing dollars are spent on performance marketing. So we have always on channels that, where we're targeting specific audiences, whether that's via search or social campaigns. But then we're kind of like tinkers. We'll try 2 or 3 new campaigns literally every month. And if something's working, then, we're going to throw a lot of money around it. And in the last 2 months, we've done direct mail trials, podcasts. We did an outdoor trial in our 11 markets where we over-index. We did bus ads. We're doing radio, both testing local, again, where we over-index, and national spots. And with radio is great. You can target different audiences. So we've had a lot. It's been a really incredible experience just watching us trying out these different tactics, and then they work. Then we've got the capital to throw at it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I definitely have seen an uptick of Philo advertising on radio and TV over the last few months. Has that had a substantial impact on your growth?
Yeah.
Now that you have been sort of putting more money into
Absolutely,
advertising?
absolutely. I mean, I think when we first launched, we purposely did a soft launch we frankly hired our head of marketing. It was like, he started like the month before we launched. So we also wanted to deliver a better product experience. So we did a soft launch it was basically a PR and sort of word of mouth driven. But as we've now built a really strong acquisition team, and our spend is increasing month over month, and we are absolutely seeing the subscriber growth go with it.
That's wonderful. So Philo apps have always been pretty clean and straightforward. I think they have an approach where they want to keep things very simple for their users. So talk to us a little bit about how you go about maintaining simplicity and just keeping things less complex for your users.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think simplicity is really important on a television user experience.
It's hard to, right?
But it's really hard to do, and it's really hard to do well. I think we've taken the approach of sort of everything. I mean, we're kind of like TV lovers ourselves, and we sort of think of it as like building the TV platform that we would want to watch every day. And there's every sort of aspect of the service. We look at kind of what we don't like about the way it works today and try to do better. I think the best example is like our sign-up trial. You put in your phone number, we send you a code, and you can be in the trial. So you can sign up for Philo in like 10 seconds. And if you compare that to a traditional cable system where you're like calling a phone number and scheduling it, it's really night and day. And then we also don't even use usernames and passwords. And then when you want to sign in, you email us or give us your phone number, and we'll shoot you a text. You have to be online to be on the service anyway.
Right.
So, and actually, once you start using services like that, you get frustrated when you go to a site and you have to remember your password. So you never have to remember your password when you're working with Philo. So we try to take, I think the starting of the user experience, like just putting in your phone number, I think is one of the best examples of the most simplistic way to do an onboarding of a product.
What platforms can these folks find you on, and are there any new ones that are on the horizon?
Yeah, we're on pretty much like all of the, I would call them table stakes platforms. So on the TV side, Apple Fire, Android, Roku. And then we have iOS, web, iPads. And we'll be on, the thing that's coming soon is we don't have a native Android mobile app today, but we'll be launching that in the next couple months. And then like I said, we're focusing more this year on just functionality versus new platform development.
So a lot of what Philo intended to do around the initial use case was to really drive and push the social experience in ways that had not been done before. Tell us a little bit about, how Philo integrates social into the platform and how they really try to drive that experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So social is very much part of our DNA. Our CEO, Andrew, was on the founding team of Facebook, so he comes with a lot of credibility around how to build socially connected products. But again, it's going to sound maybe cliche, but TV is the most social form of content consumption. People talk about TV constantly, probably 5-10 times more than they talk about music or other or movies. I mean, every single time I go out with friends, it's like, have you watched this show or have you watched that show? But yet none of the advancement that has been made in social technology has made its way into a TV product. And so, has anybody ever gotten a recommendation from a friend inside a product? No, that has never really been done. And we think that there's a huge opportunity in that space as well. When you think of there's a lot obviously that's been done on algorithmic-based recommendation engines. I mean, I think Netflix has spent probably $1 billion, if not more, to create, which is, debatable whether you think they do a great job or not, but they're still working really hard at it. There's just an entirely different feeling of somebody that you know or respect or like their taste telling you that you're going to like something versus, a algorithm doing it. So we think there's like a happy balance. To that, what it looks like is being able to seamlessly share content. So you can do that today. You can, just like if you're at a song on Spotify, if you're on Philo, you can hit a button, you can cut and paste and share the link. If there's a Philo subscriber, it'll take you right into the feed. If you're not a Philo subscriber, then you'll be asked for your phone number and can start a trial. And so things that will be coming soon will be taking that and creating more of like watch parties, so you can have people in different locations be simultaneously watching content, and then from there you'll see some other interesting things like social discovery and like trying to find out what shows that your friends like, not just what's popular on our platform.
So Philo is based in San Francisco, and it's not a coincidence. They are definitely a technology-first company in the way that they approach the market, and I think that it's interesting. So Seth Madison is one of their engineers that actually developed and wrote the synchronization technology around the watch parties and some of the things that they offer. So, if you're in technology and you're looking for a really cool place to work, definitely they're hiring. Go check out their careers page and take a look at the site and see if there's anything that matches. But they're definitely technology first. And so talk to us a little bit about, the sharing aspect of the platform. I think that's always something that is constantly being developed for Philo. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so that was something that we really wanted to have from the beginning. And we actually can tie it to we also have like a referral program in the product as well that these are kind of two things that are kind of connected that we really wanted this idea of being able to have the product enable you to easily share a show that you like with your friends. And so whether it's on a show page or on an episode, you're able to share the content directly with your friends. We've also built out a sort of a referral program that we don't cap. So it's like, we enable people to share Philo with their friends, and each side will get $5 if they become a subscriber. If we don't cap it, so if you share it with a lot of your friends, then you're watching a good amount of free TV. So we want to be able to we know we've built a product that we are seeing resonate with our subscribers, and we just want to enable them to be able to share the content they like and share the product they like in a very as seamless as possible.
I think it's interesting to mention too that none of the other MPVDs actually have that sharing capability. So that's something that's really unique to the Philo platform, and that a lot of your consumers find very appealing. Talk to us, go a little bit deeper into sharing, because I know that there are opportunities where if you're home and say, your husband or your wife is watching some content, there's some unique sharing and recommendations features that you offer?
Yeah, that's right. We're working on right now some more advanced recommendation functionality. The idea that we have profiles, kind of like a lot of TV services that you've probably used before. But we thought there was something neat about a lot of times it's either, my profile or my partner's profile. And if we're watching TV together, it's like, well, whose profile do you watch? And so this idea that you could do sort of a recommendation based on who's watching, that some recommendations based on that any number of the profiles we're we think that could be some cooler, interesting functionality. The watch functionality is really cool too. It allows you to send an invite and to instantly start a watch party by syncing by syncing the actual playout of the content, and you can also leave breadcrumbs and do some other things like that around the content and with your friends.
Yeah, I think one of the things that they're sort of on the roadmap is that if you're a family and say you have siblings or significant others and you're, at the family reunion, they can actually make a recommendation to you based on the consumption from each of your individual accounts around a piece of content that all of you would like to watch. So instead of you trying to figure out, what movie are we going to watch on family night, they'll make a recommendation to you for that. That's a really unique.
Yeah, it's definitely. We're trying to take functionality and make it, put our own sort of spin on it that we think our subscribers will really enjoy.
That's great. So you've built a scalable platform, you've built an affordable platform, you've made the case for really choosing Philo beyond affordability, and you've had this exponential growth. Talk to us about what's next. Like, what do you see that's game-changing for Philo coming down the pipe?
Yeah, so I think I think that we're working on a lot of the roadmap for what's coming. I think mentioned on like the platform side, we're working on adding a couple of additional platforms. We've talked on the functionality side. We're going to be spending a lot of our effort in the area of recommendations, synced viewing. This also cross-device control is another area which is like if you're watching TV, you can be using your phone to control the app on your TV. I think that's something that will sort of absolutely have to have when you're looking at some of this more advanced functionality. Because, while I love the simplicity of these connected TV remotes, it's just up, down, and select. So it doesn't give you a ton of ability to do more advanced functionality. You're not going to send an email out using that.
Right.
So we're working on some core cross-device functionality.
So you'll be able to control the TV with your phone, sort of as a remote. That's
like
pretty
the Philo
interesting.
app on your TV with your phone.
What about premium content? Anything like Showtime, Stars, any of that stuff coming?
Yeah, I mean, we've done a lot of content surveying of our subscribers about what they would want to get from us. Mm-hmm. We're always going to look to add content to the platform, like where we can do it and still deliver a high value product. That's been our goal. We've continued to do it since launch. We added like the Hallmark channels. We added Clio, which is an upstart channel that just launched this year. We're always going to look. We have Tastemade and Cheddar and some of the other sort of more digitally focused content. So we're always going to try to do it from that perspective. I definitely think that there's a way to super serve audiences, whether it's by looking at the SVOD products that our partners already have, AMC is like Shudder and Sundance Docu. And then I think that it would be very logical for us to also look at adding premiums. Nothing to announce today, but I think you'll see us being able to continue to offer different things to our subscribers.
That's great. So we are acutely aware that we are standing between you and an early happy hour, but I did want to open up the floor for questions that you have of either myself or
That would be 2 hours early. That's a little bit early. Excellent. Any questions from the floor? Brilliant. Let me come over.
Mike, one of the potentials of OTT was really allowing customers to have a la carte choices. It seems in recent news, it's sort of the antithesis of that with like what YouTube TV did. What sort of stands in the way of MVPDs offering true a la carte options? And do you see that sort of, how do you see that sort of progressing in the near future?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I would posit that people don't necessarily want a la carte. They just want to pay less. Like the bill had gotten to the point where, the bills had just gotten to the point where they were rising, and they were rising somewhat of in an out of control way. And for a long time, cable companies had sort of a monopoly on, who could offer what service to the platform or to the, certain geography. So that I think made it, even more difficult. And so, yeah, I think what you're seeing, we're all about options. I mean, that's. I think we're bringing a bundle that's never really been brought to market before. I think what YouTube and Hulu and Fubo and there's a few others and DirecTV Now actually is doing the exact same thing with this sort of broadcast and their associated cable channels. To be honest, I don't think we're getting any closer to a la carte. With Disney merging with Fox and NBC and Comcast, I don't necessarily see that being something that's going to happen anytime soon. But I do think you're going to see an emergence of more options for consumers so that they're not forced to pay for as much, forced to pay for things that they don't want.
Since you don't have any sports or news, or not the same amount of news, have you been able to make any encoding optimizations to lower your bitrate ladder? Like you don't need that 8 megabit?
Yeah, I mean, I think it sort of puts. That is a good question. I mean, we always want from the engineering side to have like the best product experience, whether it be video or audio and things like that. I do think that sports drive some of the further, whether it's 4K or the need to do something that's like at that next level of advancement. But I actually would put our video quality up with, I feel like it's very much on par with all the other streaming vMVPDs. I think we're something that we're really proud of. And so I would say, like, I think it does. It probably means that we don't have to spend as much on the things that like sports is going to benefit the most from. That, you know, our content, we're still getting it delivered from our distributors. They're still working on like what their future strategy in that like advanced codec area is. So, but we want to do the best in sort of the codecs we use today. Does that kind of make sense?
What's your top bit rate?
What was the top rate was the question?
Oh gosh, it's been a long time since I looked at that. And I don't want to tell you wrong. If you email me, I'll tell you. It's Mike at Philo. It's not.
Guys, I'd like to thank you hugely for a great Fireside session. You didn't need me at all. I should have just left at the beginning there. It was brilliant. Thank you very much.